You are now listening to the Business Chatter Podcast.
All right. I wanted to get the breath in before we started, but you hit record. So welcome to the Business Chatter Podcast. I'm Anthony.
And I'm Chris.
And this is my phone background today. It's Chris also.
And we're happy that you're here with us today.
I
do want to say that I literally said, "Are you ready?" and then counted down from 3 before I hit record.
Yeah, but I was doing something else when you asked.
Whose fault is that?
I mean, give me more time.
We're ready to go here. This is a no time wasting podcast.
Especially today.
Yeah, we're getting right down to it.
Math pod.
That's
right.
So last week in Social Entrepreneurship Part 1, we spoke about social entrepreneurship. And it was a very solid conversation. We kind of laid down the foundation and gave a little bit of framework as to what social entrepreneurship is and how it operates. Today, as promised, we're going to talk a little bit more about the game theory of social entrepreneurship. We're going to keep it brief. We won't be too crazy. We'll give what's the best way to put it? A digestible explanation of the different games that are included.
A few of the games.
A few of the games, yeah.
So behind every social interaction is a mathematical model. Mathematics can explain anything you do.
That's true.
Ultimately, not approximately, ultimately. So today, we are going to break down some of the theoretical mathematical frameworks of social entrepreneurship.
That's right. And just to, before we dig into that, game theory, as we've mentioned a few times, is a theoretical framework for
like a buzzword thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of words in what I'm going to say here, but you'll see it as we go. So it's a theoretical framework for conceiving social situations among competing players, right? So for this concept of, or for this conversation, we're going to be focused on social entrepreneurship. So we can kind of think of things as entrepreneurs, companies that are going to be playing within markets, right, against competitors and trying to identify strategies for success and, also potential partnerships and alliances.
Right. And again, important for them to understand, being a social entrepreneur, knowing that there has to be a fine line between profit and...
What was the exact wording that we used? I'm trying to think of the exact word. Profit and purpose? No, profit and the social good that they're trying to identify. But what was the exact thing that we said?
I thought you would finish my sentence.
I'm gonna have to go back and now find it so I can put it. It'll be in the text that you see below us at the moment.
I'm kind of disappointed. But
do you know what it is?
No. That's why I had you finish my sentence.
All right. There we go.
Okay. So how do you want to start this? Do you want to go over, I think, what each of the games are we're breaking down, and then give a mathematical example of it?
Yeah, I think let's call out the game. I think we have 4 that we're gonna chat on.
Just call out a game.
Yeah. So just like, from the hat. I'm pulling it out from a hat right here. Okay, we have sequential games.
Or was that just first on the list?
Or
we'll never know.
We'll never know. There's a game to everything.
Well,
all right. So I'm gonna get mathematical here. Okay. Just put your math hat on for a few sentences.
I hope I was a good teacher, Chris.
Okay. So imagine a game where player 1 can choose either A or B. If player 1 chooses A, player 2 can choose C or D. If player 1 chooses B, player 2 can choose E or F. And the game's outcome depends on the sequence of choices.
Okay. So
everybody's got that?
Nobody has gotten that.
Okay.
So consider like a social entrepreneur deciding if they want to enter a specific market. So there's the A or B. Market A, market B. If they enter the market, the competitors respond by lowering prices or introducing new products. So that's choices C or D. If the entrepreneur doesn't enter the market, competitors may expand and continue as they were. Choices E or F.
Yep. And that was the social entrepreneur choosing B.
So that's what Chris was trying to say.
Yeah.
So let's talk about it.
Exactly. Go ahead.
I don't know. Let's give a real world example. What do you got?
Okay. So let's think about, let's kind of go back to it, right? So they can choose if they want to enter a market. So Tom's entered the shoe market, right? Entered the footwear market, and their competitors responded to that, or would respond, by either trying to compete with them in that space and essentially crush them, right? Because they're new, up and coming, or they can not involve themselves there and not have any type of competition. The kind of the caveat there, and this may actually be identified within other games, but also other thoughts when it comes specifically to business outside of the theory of it, is they have a social component. So now these other brands that also sell the same type of shoe that Tom's is selling can't necessarily compete with them in the same way. So Tom's does have a competitive advantage that if they do leverage that, it puts them in a position where they can actually grab some market share. So they're able to actually compete, but also have a niche that they are differentiated within.
Nice.
Thank you. Thank you. I think that that's a pretty good, because then if Tom's decided not to compete at all, then, their competition doesn't have to do anything, or they can take on part of what Tom's wanted to offer from the social entrepreneurship piece and actually turn that into a piece of their business if they found that it was viable for them.
All right, let's go stochastic games, which again, people just really don't understand when it comes to gambling. Like people see streaks and things, no such thing.
No such thing.
Random. That's why roulette, like, it's hit even a whole bunch in a row. Let me bet odd.
Yep.
You'll never win that way. Keep it even. Like the more consistent you stay in a random game, the better your outcome will be, because every time it has the same probability of the same outcomes.
That's right.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, you're right on point. Unless you're doing the 3-door game.
I don't know that.
I forget exactly what it's called, but there's plenty of videos out there.
Is it a Vegas thing?
No, it's like a game show game.
Oh.
Right. So there's 3 doors, right? Behind 2 of the doors, there's goats, and behind 1 of the doors is a car. And you choose door 1.
Do you get to keep the goat if you pick?
No.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to say, it's a pretty sweet deal no matter what, right?
Yeah.
You either get a goat or a car.
That's free milk forever.
That's
if it's a female nursing goat.
A lot of caveats to this game.
Yeah.
But, okay, so there's 3 doors, right? Door 1, 2, 3. 3 doors. You choose door 1. They open up either door 2 or door 3, and they show you that door 2 has a goat behind it. So now they ask you, do you want to stick with door 1 or do you want to choose door 3? Statistically, it's in your favor to choose door 3, to change your guess, than to stay with your first guess. And there's plenty of YouTube videos that'll explain it. That's not what we're talking about here, but we did dig into a little bit of gambling. So if you're ever on a game show, just remember this piece of the podcast, and you'll have a higher likelihood of winning the car.
And gamble responsibly.
Yes, gamble responsibly.
All right, so give the mathematical example that I kind of already busted for you.
All right, so a simple example is the coin flip game, right? So the result of each flip, either heads or tails, is independent and has a probability of 0.5, right? So showing the element of randomness in outcomes. So if I flip it and it's heads, the next time doesn't mean it's going to be tails. I can get 5 heads in a row, and that doesn't mean that the 6th is also going to be heads. So why don't we find a way to digest that in a socially entrepreneurial way?
Okay, I'm going to talk with my hands because you've been doing a lot.
Hey,
social enterprise. I don't know what to do with them, but social enterprise. New product. Market research. They've done market research. Choosing whether it's heads or tails. But the market's response is uncertain. So it might be overwhelmingly positive or not as great as expected. Random.
I mean, there's definitely...
My hand gestures didn't really go with... I don't know. The heads or tails one.
Yeah.
Those were windshield wipers.
I'm thinking of wheels on the bus. Wipers go swish, swish, swish.
Take it away.
All right. That's for another time. That's for bedtime. But,
So you will sing it to me later.
Yes.
Or yeah, that's all I was asking.
See, we're back in the studio, so Anthony will be sleeping right here. So I'll sing it from the stairs. All right.
Yeah. No.
We've seen circumstances where businesses will come out with a new product and they think it's going to be great and it's not. And the market may have been excited beforehand, but for some reason, or another, it just doesn't turn out to be like that. So I think that that's a kind of a quick and easy way to discuss that, right? I think you explained it and really nailed it down. It's you have option A, you have option B, you've done the research, you think option A is the better option, you do it, but then you find out the sentiment has moved on, right? Or your research is aged, right? Or the core demographic or the market has moved. There's been a shift in sensibilities and, the outcome is not as great as expected, or it may be even better than you thought. And that's a good problem to have, but no guarantees on that.
It's just random.
It's random. All right. Anything else you want to say on that?
No, I don't have much to say ever.
All right. Well, I'd beg to differ. Remember our last episode where you're like, I'm rambling. All right. Don't worry. You'll have your time here.
All right.
All right. So cooperative versus non-cooperative games. So
prisoners
dilemma. Don't be the one who don't be the one who talks about the other one.
Snitches get less than optimal outcomes.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Don't you dare deviate.
And
don't you dare.
And you may hear Nash equilibrium come up in these conversations. We're not going to touch on that specifically right now, but just as a point, it is good to understand what the Nash equilibrium is and how that plays in for something specifically like prisoner's dilemma. So the classic example is prisoner's dilemma. So two prisoners can either betray each other or remain silent. So the best outcome is for both of them to cooperate, right, by staying silent. But the risk of betrayal leads to a suboptimal outcome.
Oh, betrayal.
Because you're sitting there saying, hey, they're gonna talk about me, so I'm gonna talk about them first.
Betrayal. It's such a it's very like I don't know, it's dark.
It's
betrayal.
Very dark. It's like very like Lifetime movie.
Like Anakin Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi. I saw a YouTube video of somebody talking to ChatGPT like it was Darth Vader. It was pretty funny. They were asking him what supervillains he thought he could beat.
That's actually an interesting conversation. I have to say I wish they did more with Darth Vader. I wish Vader got like his own like full
story. They will eventually.
Story, like, yeah, but I don't know.
I cried at the end of the Obi-Wan series.
It's beautiful.
I know. I didn't actually, but I got a little tear. It was also 3 a.m, and I hadn't slept for like 2 days, and I was in a passenger in the car on the way back from Florida with my dad. So I feel like the lack of sleep had me a little bit extra emotional.
So you were sitting there with your dad in the car weeping, and he was like, "What's going on here?"
I was like,
haven't you seen the end of Obi-Wan? He was like, "No, because I'm driving."
All right. So before we get too off topic,
all right,
I am going to take the noble route for our listeners and viewers and give them the easily digestible example.
Thank you.
Yes.
Not all heroes wear capes. What? That was a compliment.
I had a cape for a while, and my parents thought I was too old to be wearing it, so they took it away.
Yeah, I mean, you're in your late 20s.
I was like 14 when I was wearing it. Just wear it around the neighborhood with my Yu-Gi-Oh cards, pretending I was a Yu-Gi-Oh character. But I even painted a little Egyptian eye on the top because Yu-Gi-Oh is Egyptian themed. Was it the Eye of Osiris or something? I don't know.
That was after my time. That was Pokemon.
No, I just mean in general, like on the hieroglyphs.
Oh, well, yeah.
Right. Yes. So 2 social entrepreneurs can either cooperate or share resources to amplify their impact or to compete for the same resources and market share. So like the prisoners, they'll achieve more together, but the temptation to go at the market alone can lead to less effective outcomes.
Yep.
Example time, Chris, since I wasted my chatter talking about Yu-Gi-Oh.
So, I mean, this isn't directly social entrepreneurship, but we can certainly find a way to get there. In the financial industry, right, there's circumstances where larger banks will work with smaller financing companies.
How large?
I mean,
Show me with your hands.
You can't even see.
All right.
That's how big. And
when I say how big, you say so big. How big?
I'm not doing that. This is like call and repeat from call and respond from like summer camp.
How big?
Not doing
Do
it.
it.
Not doing
Do it.
So, you'll have these large financial institutions that don't work with certain subsets of businesses, and then you have smaller financial institutions, alternative lending, those types of organizations where they'll form alliances and they'll have partnerships where they'll work together in order to enter this new market. And there are certain examples that you've seen, like Amex acquired a company. Who else?
Amex acquired a company.
Well, they
only one.
Well, no, but Amex acquired a small business lender. PayPal acquired a small business lender, and they folded them into their business. And again, it's not social entrepreneurship in the sense of, these weren't, free loans, right? It was still, there was money being made, but as an example that we can, probably find a more socially focused piece to it. But there's a lot of companies that work with nonprofits and charities, like DoughP, which was the example we gave last week, that donates money. They are learning from their relationships there, and they are both better off working together than not, because it's a much larger platform and there's the opportunity for cross branding and being able to again carve that strategic niche to give themselves a little bit of competitive advantage. I do want to shout out She Recovers and the Mr. Ballen Foundation. Both watched our story. Thank you. Hopefully, if you did see the episode, you were mentioned in it. We'll probably tag you again in this episode. But this is good. Good. What's the word I'm looking for? Collaboration.
We're not collaborating with them.
Well, not yet.
Okay,
gotta put it out there.
All right, let's move on. Beijing Games.
All right, this will be the last one. So
we're doing a part 3.
Actually, we should do a part 3. But that might have to be next season. We'll talk about that later. Next episode, probably.
Season 2. Can you believe we were renewed?
I know.
Yeah.
It's been, the meetings were numerous, but the people have spoken. We appreciate your support. And, the top office, the top floor.
The biggest one.
Floor
to ceiling windows they got up there.
That's right. They gave us the green light.
They have caffeinated and decaffeinated coffee.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it's not that cheap stuff. It's the good stuff. It's not no powder.
No powder.
All right. So
they're like coffee tea bags. You see those?
No. That's interesting.
I don't know if those are actually a thing, but they could be.
They could be. They should be now. Anybody wants to do it, we'll respond. Okay, so players have to make decisions based on their belief about the state of the world and the strategies of other players. So the belief is often represented as a probability distribution. That seems pretty straightforward, but let's break it down. Do the work of an enzyme.
So digestion actually starts in your mouth.
I think I've chewed a little for you. No.
Yeah. So a social entrepreneur doesn't always know exactly what strategy their competitors are using. So based on their market research and experience, they form a best guess. I don't want to say a belief. It's more like it's a little.
Yeah, belief is a strong word for that, maybe.
So they form a best guess of their competitive strategy and make decisions accordingly. We see this kind of often just in real life, right? Like when you're thinking about trying to navigate things, getting groups together, trying to plan, right? It's like sometimes you best guess.
Yeah, like you'll be like, in this message, I'm going to put this amount of detail because I know that X amount of people are going to appreciate it. And then you're like, well, maybe not. You're working with people that you maybe haven't before, so you don't know how much to add.
You always get the one person in the group where you never responds, and then you pick a date, and they're all like, "Oh, this date doesn't work for me. How come you guys didn't accommodate me?" We're like, "Well, we asked you 14 times, and you didn't respond until we gave you the date."
Yeah.
So sometimes you got to form that belief and make the best guess.
That's right.
At that point, they're your competitor. You got to figure out what their strategy might be.
That's true. And when we think about social entrepreneurship, it's challenging because, again, going back to it, you want to, what is it? Do good by doing well.
That's it. Superheroes do good. I do well. And you can be that superhero that does good by doing well.
That's right. And in order to do that,
That's a very grammar thing to say, by the way. Like if somebody says, I'm doing good, you can be like, are you doing good? Or is Superman doing good?
That's right.
You're doing well.
Yeah.
It's a good way to remember it, by the way.
That is a good way to remember it. Thanks for that.
You're welcome. You are.
Absolutely. Man, the superhero thing's going to go to your head now, huh? All right. So
yeah, I told you what somebody said to me the other day.
That's true.
That went to my head. I'll never live it. I called my mom. Somebody's like, I was at a wedding. Somebody's like, you look like Clark Kent. And I was like, that's it. I can die now. So I've wanted my whole life. After being socially awkward and physically awkward the first 27 years, I finally filled out on both ends.
There you go. Hey,
I was never socially. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not pushing. People that listen know you. Oh, that's a fun one. All right. So, yeah, like we were saying on this, you have to sometimes in all pieces of business, you're going to have to just formulate what your best guess is, and you're going to have to hope that it works. There is no perfect plan, right? There's no perfect time to start. We've covered that, right? You really need to do the work and make it happen, and you need to leverage a lot of different things to make it work, right? You have to network, you have to figure out funding, you have to be strategic, you have to move your microphone around as much as possible. But throughout all of that,
I want to get more of a feel for it. Like I'm doing like a comedy show.
Oh, you want to do some crowd work?
I can.
Man.
So where'd you get the hat from?
Shank at Golf.
Shank at Golf. That's pretty cool.
Shankatgolf.com.
Tell me more about them.
At Shank at Golf. So they're a small business that's focused on golf, obviously. They make high quality equipment. High quality apparel. The hats are great. The shirts are great. I have the glove as well.
All right, dude. This is my show. Enough.
Hey,
enough.
You asked.
All right.
We're supporting small businesses here. Shankatgolf.com.
Do you by chance live in a school zone?
No.
That's good. With a beard like that, I wouldn't anticipate them letting you.
I'm gonna add the applause in. So I was just giving you some time. I'm gonna do like a laugh and applause. Maybe I'll stack them.
You want to pick a song and I can just make up my own words to it?
There's actually someone online who turns all songs into kids bop songs. It's really funny.
Give me a song, Chris.
Let's see. And you're gonna turn it into
anything. I'll just change the words. I'll make it about you.
Okay. How about Levitating by Dua Lipa? I don't even know the words.
Hold on, let me think. Man, it's gonna sound so out of tune without the soundtrack behind me, but I can give it a go. I can give it a spin.
All right, maybe we'll release the full version.
Just be prepared to edit right here. I'm thinking of the words, at least the words as to what I think they are. It was actually my most played song of 2022 on Spotify. If you think I'm lying, I can prove it.
My most played songs were literally like from the 1960s and 70s. So
I'm 12 years old. So can we do like American Pie? It's so much easier.
Sure.
I heard somebody in the audience say American Pie. Who said it was you, wasn't it?
I was the person who was holding the hat before.
All right. We're gonna end it here. I've been dilly dallying too much.
Yeah, really.
But we'll give it a go
for anybody
off camera, and then we'll try to we'll figure it out for next time.
It's just funny because I don't know exactly where the edits are going to be, but they're going to be very disjointed, and there's going to be not a ton of context to this point. So
long time ago, Chris can still remember before his beard made children cry. He was allowed near lots of schools when he was a fresh-faced fool, but now he needs to take.
Yeah, good luck. Figure it out.
I was getting there.
Also, you know the words to American Pie, but you're talking about how you're 12 years old. Man, you are all right. Go ahead. Let's wrap it up. Well, before we do that, hopefully this was in some way beneficial. We think that, it can be game theory is challenging. This is in no way near encompassing all of it. But the hope is that at least with a few examples that are a little more digestible with the mathematical kind of theory tied in some capacity, there's a way to, make it make sense and you can consider these things moving forward.
A long, long time ago, we started this podcast and we talked about Bayesian games. Hit a few other ones. All were pretty, pretty fun. We hope it wasn't all too lame. We had a great time speaking with you. Give us a like and a follow too on Instagram, YouTube, and Spotify. Come on, Chris, take it away.
No, I think you did such a great job. I'm just going to leave it there. Please, yeah, if you want more of this, we'd be happy to go live for you. And Anthony's karaoke Wednesdays.
Is it Wednesday?
Well, this will come out on Wednesday.
Oh, right. A social entrepreneur doesn't know exactly where their strategy goes until they make that fateful move at last. By pairing mathematical examples with digestible explanations, you can cater to your listeners like a craft. How was that?
Not bad.
Okay, I'm working on it.
Yeah, I mean we're getting there. But this is your first shot at it, so
maybe I should just do Weird Al songs.
I mean that's
like my own version.
I was gonna say
like
it's
Lonely
like
Island type stuff.
I mean you could. I mean I didn't know that this was gonna turn musical.
We might have to edit all this out.
Well, I tried to get back on track, and then you kept singing, so I don't really know how we want to do that.
We're happy you're here with us today. We're talking about entrepreneurship, startups to enterprise value creation, and much more. You can pretty much sing anything to American Pie.
I mean, you can, yeah.
It's pretty easy.
And the song is so long that literally this entire episode could be the song, and we could just move on.
All right, you're gonna take it because I'm just gonna keep singing.
Yes, I'm gonna do this.
More people are gonna hate me the more they listen to this podcast.
Chris here wanted to just chat real quick about our sponsor, Almost Vintage Chris, at Almost Vintage Chris on Instagram and almostvintagechris.com. You could use the code BCP for 10% off your order. As you can see, I'm wearing the Bummer shirt, which is awesome, super comfortable, love the logo, really the shirt of the summer. And, now's the time to pick it up. BCP for 10% off your order, Almost Vintage Chris. And as now always, wearing my Shank It Golf hat at Shank It Golf on Instagram, shankitgolf.com. They're not a sponsor. I'm an ambassador for them. But I dropped my code in the show notes there, the link directly, but you can go to shankitgolf.com and use the code CGolf15 for 15% off your order. Well, thank you for watching and listening. We know your time is valuable. We appreciate you sharing it with us. We're the Business Chatter Podcast. Consider us your crash course on value creation through the words of individuals who have done it before.
Bye.
We'll see you next time.
See ya.